Hey, you call me to your bed every single night as if it's just a matter of course, but actually, perhaps you should consider that a bit more carefully. It's not that I dislike sleeping with you, I truly don't. However, it can sometimes place an unexpected burden on both humans and felines. Today, I'll explain a little about why it might be better not to sleep with your cat. It's important to know because not being aware can sometimes cause issues. Number 1, the quality of the owner's sleep tends to decline. One particular study apparently surveyed around 5,000 people, and when individuals who sleep alongside their cats or dogs experienced a greater sense of security, it was revealed that their overall sleep quality tended to significantly decrease. For example, it seems many people started having trouble falling asleep, experienced increased snoring, and found themselves unable to sleep soundly all the way until morning. What's more, some individuals even developed chronic sleep deprivation, and it's quite surprising to hear that the number of people prone to leg cramps also increased. You might not be aware of it, but I actually wake up multiple times throughout the night. Cats, are actually just like humans, constantly. I don't sleep continuously. Instead, I live a life where I sleep for short periods, then wake up for short periods. That's why in the middle of the night, if I walk on the futon, shift my body's position, or suddenly stir around, from my perspective, I'm just changing my spot, but apparently, your body unconsciously reacts to that movement and your sleep can become shallow. Also, if I curl up and sleep right in the middle of the futon, you'll end up sleeping at the very edge in an awkward position, won't you? And apparently, that actually puts quite a bit of strain on your body. People naturally relieve their body's fatigue by tossing and turning multiple times throughout the night while they sleep. However, if I'm sleeping right in the center of the bed, they can't move around freely, which prevents them from doing that effectively. As a result, when they wake up in the morning, they often feel tired, but don't feel like they've had a good night's rest, and that kind of situation can sometimes happen. Generally, all I want is to just sleep right beside you. But if lately you've been feeling your sleep is light, or you don't wake up refreshed, and that's been happening more often, then maybe at the cause. You might not even realize. Second, you have the worsening of existing allergies. I might have seen that sleeping right next to me is completely normal, but in reality, for some individuals, it can actually become quite a significant burden on their physical well-being. This phenomenon is precisely what we commonly refer to as a cat allergy. The actual root cause of cat allergies isn't truly the fur itself, but rather specific protein substances that are found within things like saliva, skin oils, and gander. We cats are animals that groom ourselves, so we apply our own saliva all over our bodies, and when that saliva dries, it forms into very tiny particles that then disperse into the air. Even if you don't typically pay much attention to it, if you share the same bedding and sleep together for an extended period, you'll inevitably be inhaling those allergens constantly. Consequently, your body will react, leading to sneezing fits, your eyes becoming quite itchy, or the skin feeling irritated and very itchy. For some people, their nose might become completely congested in the middle of the night, making it extremely difficult to breathe. Especially if someone with a cat allergy continues to sleep with them every day. They might experience chronic nasal congestion. Number 3, the effects of mites and thieves. With cats, even though we keep ourselves so clean, can still get tiny insects on our bodies. Even for indoor pets, they can enter the house on people's clothes or shoes. Fleas, especially, are tiny and hard to spot, but once they latch on, they can multiply incredibly fast. If I had fleas on me and we share a bed, they could easily transfer to the bedding or sheets. Hispacatens, you could orphaned bidden, and your body might become itchy, developing that bug. What's more, fleas don't just feed on cats, they also suck human blood, so if you're sleeping with them, you could also end up being a victim. And another thing to consider is mites. Cat hair and dander, are actually quite prone to becoming food for mites, because if I get onto the futon every single day, my hair and dander gradually accumulate there. This can then create an environment where mites can very easily multiply and thrive. If these mites increase in number, your skin might get itchy, you could develop rashes, or your allergies might even worsen. And what's more, the futon itself, because it's warm and humid, is a perfect habitat for mites to live and multiply. But for me, I'm just trying to get some sleep in a nice warm spot, Fourth, the risk of infectious diseases. The illnesses that can be transmitted from cats to humans aren't that numerous, and with proper health management, there's no need to worry too much. But sleeping in the same bed means you're very close, so it's said that the risk increases slightly. For example, a well-known one is cat scratch disease. As the name suggests, this is a condition that occurs when bacteria enter your body after being scratched or bitten by a cat. Symptoms include swelling around the wound, swollen lymph nodes, and fever. These kinds of things can actually happen because sometimes when I'm asleep, I might move around and my nails could accidentally scratch. If we're sharing the same futon, the chances of that happening go up a little bit. Another thing that's quite well known is an infectious disease called toxoplasmosis. This is a parasite that's associated with cat feces, and it's often said that pregnant individuals especially should be very careful. Well, Of course, simply living your daily life won't definitely lead to infection, but it said that if I, after using the litter box, get onto your futon or come close to your face, the risk isn't entirely zero. Furthermore, there's also a skin condition, a fungal infection, caused by what's known as mold. If that particular fungus is present on a cat's skin, it can sometimes transfer to human skin, potentially causing round itchy rashes to appear. These types of illnesses are unlikely to occur if your cat is healthy, but the closer you are, the risk does slightly increase. It's advised to be cautious, especially if they flit near your face or lick your mouth. If you're going to share that, I believe you'll both flit more peacefully if you take care of things like trimming their claws, keeping their body clean, and making sure their litter box is spotless. 5. The possibility of injuring your cat by rolling over. You might think people don't move much while sleeping, but that's not actually true. It's said that people toss and turn about 20 to 30 times a night to prevent pressure from building on the same body parts. You unconsciously shift your body's direction. But if I were sleeping right bearing your bed with you, your tossing and turning could sometimes push me right off. For instance, when you're tossing and turning in your sleep, your arm might end up resting on my body, or you might even push me with your whole body, or even accidentally kick me with your foot. Because I am so small, when a person's body weight is placed on me, I get quite surprised and startled. Sometimes I'm so startled I jump right up from where I am, and in some situations, I could even end up getting hurt. Especially with young kittens, their bodies are still quite fragile, so being pressed too hard can sometimes be quite dangerous. Therefore, if you're going to sleep with me, it would really help if you could be a little bit mindful. For example, make sure there's enough space for me to get away, and please don't try to force me under the blanket. Number 6. Dependency and the disruption of my daily routine. If you start to take sleeping with me for granted, it can actually lead to some difficulties for me. But yeah, that's about disrupting our daily routine. Boss, we cats are absolute creatures who truly value our daily rhythm. A pause. Once we learn something, we tend to just keep repeating it. It's easy for them to form habits. So, if you continue sleeping like that in your futon every day, it will become the norm. Then, some cats get restless if you're not in bed or can't sleep unless they're with you. In other words, they can sometimes become a little dependent. For example, if you go on a trip, or if you come home late and don't come to your bed at the usual time, then I start to wonder why you're not here when you'll finally come to sleep, and I get so restless. I might pace around the room, meow loudly to call for you, or even wait right by the door. Also, cats have incredibly precise internal clock, and they remember their daily routines very, very well. So, once I learn to wake up at this specific time and go to bed at this specific time, I'll naturally try to follow that rhythm. Even if you decide to feed them late on your day off, I'll still wake up at my usual time, just like always. And sometimes, I might even climb right onto your bed or peek at your face and wake you up exactly as I always do. It's true. Body temperature changes, and the futon's temperature changes too. A person's body gradually lowers its temperature while sleeping to deepen sleep. But if I'm cleaning tightly, that temperature regulation might not go well. So, it seems many people have experienced waking up in the morning feeling hot or being woken up in the middle of the night. I completely understand that feeling that sleeping with a cat is pure bliss, but actually, sleeping with them every single day isn't necessarily a good thing. I'm not saying I want you to stop sleeping with me altogether. If anything I said today was even a little bit helpful, I'd appreciate a like. If you subscribe to the channel, I'll secretly tell you more ways to get closer to your cat, just for you. I'm not trying to be clingy or anything, but sometimes I don't mind sleeping right next to you. Alright then, see ya. I'm wondering where I'm going to lay my head down tonight. Rory. I'm Julie Inch. I will damage was Ipchui Akand. I was the witch and lent to the Jews, thousands of Jews, that's and then because my rate is.